Uluslararası Lojistik Yönetimi Anabilim Dalı olarak Lisansüstü Eğitim Enstitümüzün organizasyonuyla bu semineri gerçekleştiriyoruz. Bugünkü semineri bölümümüzün araştırma görevlisi olan Melisa Özbiltekin yapacak. Kendisi yüksek lisans tezini bizlerle seminer kapsamında paylaşacak. Danışmanlığını da ben yapmıştım. Ayrıca hem tezi hem de bu tezden çıkan akademik çalışmayı da, makaleyi de yine sizlerle paylaşmış olacak. Ben lafı çok uzatmayayım. Sözü Melisa'ya bırakayım. Evet.
Teşekkürler hocam. Şu an ekranım sizin için nasıl?
Gayet iyi.
Görünüyor. Gayet iyi Melisa.
Tamam.
Evet. Mikrofonları da sessize alalım.
Tamam. İngilizce devam ediyoruz sanırım.
İngilizce, evet.
Tamam. Okay, dear participants, today I would like to talk about e-waste and reverse logistics, which is my master degree thesis. And my outline is follows: introduction, aim of the thesis, problem definition, literature review, research framework, results, discussions, and related paper. And as you know, circular economy is a global economic model to minimize limited resource consumption that focuses on smart material, products, and system design. And reverse logistics is related to entire production industry and is responsible for the flow of the used product from the consumer to the manufacturer. And moreover, electrical and electronic equipment is inseparable from the global economy and also has negative impacts on society, economy, and environment. And the reverse logistics is one of the most important part of waste management when it comes to recyclable waste. Therefore, it's essential to integrate circular economy with reverse logistics operations to have sustainable solutions, especially in e-waste management. And by the way, aim of this thesis to find sustainable solutions for e-waste recycling process in emerging economies especially, and by considering causes and effects of the prevent the proper implementation of recycling process. As a research motivation, e-waste is the fastest growing type of waste worldwide, and 44.7 million metric tons of these devices are disposed of, and only 20% of them are recycled. Then the collection, transportation, and disposal of e-waste are crucial problems for the environment, especially in emerging economies. E-waste is one of the most significant issues due to the lack of insufficient recycling system, especially in emerging economies, and knowledge about the process of the system. And while reverse logistics activities can be implemented for e-waste more systematically in developed countries, it is not enough for the emerging economies. And this situation causes e-waste generated in emerging economies not to be transformed to the circular economy. And therefore, it is the utmost importance for emerging economies to know the amount of e-waste in the present and future to determine the challenges that prevent reverse logistics activities and to create solutions in line with the results. And this study covers these issues: circular economy, reverse logistics, e-waste, global e-waste problem in Turkey, and e-waste in reverse logistics. But e-waste in reverse logistics is a more specific issue for my thesis. Therefore, I prepare a literature review about this. As my literature review, I found a research gap, and according to my research, this study is the first study that determines the challenges for recycling activities and offers solutions for sustainable after analyzing the amount of e-waste especially in emerging economies within the scope of main research questions. Therefore, I prepared 3 research questions. One of them is: how shall we predict the amount of e-waste to be generated in the coming years within emerging economies? What are the challenges for recycling of e-waste in emerging economies? How shall we analyze the causal relationship among the challenges to recycling of e-waste? To find answer these questions, the research framework as follows, but first of all, it is important to know information about the e-waste problem in Turkey, because in Turkey 539,000 tons of e-waste is generated in 2014, and the collection rate of e-waste is very small in the country. And Turkey is a emerging economy, and e-waste management system is insufficient for this country. Therefore, I prefer to use gray prediction GM11 model for this implementation, because before other steps, I want to prove that what is future status of e-waste in Turkey. GM11 model needs only 4 years data and make it forecasting about this data. And especially to find answer the first research question, which is how shall we predict the amount of e-waste to be generated in the coming years within emerging economies, I prefer to use this model. And these are the steps of my model. Sorry, okay. Also, I predicted 8 years data after 2017, and I proved that the amount of e-waste management in Turkey is increasing year by year. After prediction e-waste in emerging economies with gray prediction, and I determined the challenge set about recycling of e-waste. And this challenge set gives answer to my second research questions, which is what are the challenges for recycling of e-waste in emerging economies. I have 7 main dimensions and 25 sub-dimensions. And these main dimensions are ecological dimensions, social dimensions, economic dimensions, infrastructural and technological dimensions, legal dimensions, managerial and business dimensions, and supply chain management dimensions. And these, all of them have sub-dimensions, totally 25 dimensions. After determining the challenge set and validated of them, the implementation process of these set by using fuzzy metal is start. And this study to beginning from the last step is a generic model that can be applied to all emerging economies and all type of waste. But I prefer to use Turkey as an emerging economy and mobile phones as one of the type of e-waste for my study. Okay. Why I prefer to use work with mobile phones? Because like in the rest of the world, the problem of mobile phone waste is becoming a major problem in Turkey, and the number of mobile phone users in Turkey is very high, and approximately 11 million new mobile phones are sold every year. And also the life cycle of mobile phones are very short, with 2 years. Therefore, I work with the mobile phones as one of the type of e-waste. And also, I prefer to use fuzzy metal method to give answer to my third research questions, which is how shall we analyze the causal relationship among the challenges to recycling of e-waste. After expert justifications and my implementations of fuzzy metal, okay, I can skip these parts. I found the D plus R and D minus R values. And according to my causal diagrams, my cause group consists of lack of governmental policies, insufficient governmental regulations to prevent the release of toxic substances during the recycling process, lack of financial and economic incentives as the most important ones. And in my effect group is health problems, environmental hazards because of the toxins contained within electronic products, mismanagement in collection and separation process. According to the order of importance based on D plus R values, the most important one is selected as lack of awareness of the top management and company policies. Second one is health problems, and third one is growing informal sector. According to results, we can say that lack of governmental policies are needed to effective governmental policies are needed to reduce waste in mobile phones and increase their recycling operations. These policies need to be built on sustainability and the circular economy, and government policies will contribute to the economic, environmental, and social sustainability and circular economy in this framework. This lack of governmental policies also under the legal dimensions. Second one is insufficient government regulations to prevent the release of toxic substances during the recycling process, which is under the ecological dimensions. And it is needed to embark on sustainable and circular solutions, such as increasing environmental and social consciousness and providing leakage minimization with new policies. Third one is in the cost group, lack of financial and economic incentives, which is again under the legal dimension. If e-waste is recycled with appropriate methods and technologies, it will be considered as a market that can create a significant business area, developing a situation that will be beneficial to circular economy at the same time. A very important incentive for the industry component, especially large investment support, can be given in STEs, for example. Also, it is essential to adopt economic optimization, and with this approach, it will be beneficial to economic sustainability in e-waste management. Also, when we look at the effect group, the most important one is health problems, which is under the social dimension. Failure to recycle these products causes many fatal diseases, such as cancer or brain damage, as you know, and governments or companies can prevent health and environmental problems by organizing trainings on these operations. Second one is environmental hazards because of the toxins contained within electronic products, which is under the ecological dimension. Failure to prevent this release of poison causes environmental damage, we can say. Also, third one is mismanagement in collection and separation process, which is under the supply chain management dimension. Failure to give due importance to the sector leads to wrong collection and separation policies. It is necessary to raise awareness of the transportation and separation of e-waste, to raise public awareness, to improve company policies in this direction, and to provide incentives for high cost. As a result of the research, e-waste treats the environment, human health, and economic also. And therefore, they should be collected, separated, and recycled appropriately in emerging economies especially. For policymakers, one of the implications is awareness should be raised for governments, companies, and consumers about the recycling of e-waste. At the same time, in order to prevent the growth of the illegal sector, waste should be recorded and an appropriate infrastructure should be prepared. And third one is economic incentives need to be increased to ensure volunteering for recycling operations. For managers and consumers, in order to reduce household e-waste, it is necessary to reduce emotional commitment to waste with high economic and moral value. It is necessary to ensure that the old appliances kept at home with the idea they will be used one day will enter the loop. And the target of collection, the return rate from electronic equipment to waste of electronic equipment should be determined by the usage life of the device using the records kept. As a conclusion of the study, e-waste are replaced by new ones before they expire. Sometimes repairing a broken electronic device can be costlier than it actually is with the developments in production technologies. Especially in emerging economies, reverse logistics activities based on circular economy cannot be carried out effectively due to the shortcomings experienced and the fact that waste that can be utilized become garbage. Also, increasing amount of e-waste in Turkey has been proven by GM11 model, and we mentioned that it is increasing year by year. And it has been determined that legal deficiencies generally affect the recycling process of e-waste, and to regulate government-related laws to encourage recycling facilities with appropriate technologies, to ensure that waste producers fulfill their responsibilities to intervene in the informal economy. And the awareness of public and companies need to be raised, need to be improved. And reverse logistics is a concept which is accepted under the circular economy approach, and it is essential to adopt circular economy principles with reverse logistics activities in e-waste management. And related with my thesis, we prepare a paper, and it is accepted in Journal of Enterprise Information Management, which titled as a proposed sustainable and digital collection and classification center model to manage e-waste in emerging economies. We use the GM11 model to prove the e-waste collection rate of in emerging economies in this paper, and we propose a sustainable collection and classification center for better management of e-waste collection in emerging economies, especially in Turkey. And if you're interested in, I can share after the seminar. And that's all for my presentation. If you have any question, it will be a pleasure for me. Thank you for listening.
Okay, do you have any question? Thank you, Melisa, first of all.
Thank you.
You know, due to the time limitations, she kept the presentation a bit tight, but if you have any questions, let me add a couple of things as a supervisor of the thesis. And yeah, actually, there are two studies present in this thesis. The one is the forecasting. So in the forecasting analysis and the forecasting side, for the situations where you have limited data, or in cases of chaos where it's not possible to collect data properly, or when there is lack of data, either one of those doesn't need to happen at once, all those limitations. If any one of those occurs, then it is quite difficult to check the validity of standard classical forecasting techniques. Why? Because you cannot use time series models because you do not have adequate number of data. You cannot conduct other studies like forecasting studies because for example, you need to go for qualitative methods, let's say. But if you would like to use quantitative methods, even in the presence of those limitations, then in this case, gray forecasting is an ideal solution for this. This is why we have determined gray prediction model, and underneath there is GM11, and it has some details for the ones who are interested. Of course, we can go in detail. And then this was the first part about making the forecasting. And then after this, we focused on the mobile phones part under e-waste. Of course, these similar studies can be conducted in other appliances, electronic appliances as well. And she has mentioned why we have determined the mobile phone, the crucial part and importance of it within the e-waste global problem of e-waste. And then in the second stage, we focus more on the cause and effect relationship. And for that, in that case, we could use, there are a couple of methods that we could use. like interpretive structural modeling, DEMATEL, or there are other models as well. But from MCDM family, we determined DEMATEL, and we conducted our study accordingly. So as you see, there are actually two studies under one thesis, one forecasting study, and then one DEMATEL and causal relationship study, we can say. So we just merged both in one thesis. And the paper is also used some parts of the thesis, but we extended to a center model, suggesting a collection center model, and we extended that paper. On that stage, we had Yeşim and Muhittin included in the study. And then we published in a special issue in Journal of Enterprise Information Management Journal in Science. It is Index and Social Science Citation Index. Yeah, this was all I would like to add. So I see many students from our master program. So I hope it would be useful for you. You can understand the logic, how we, as you see, we try to justify every step we are taking. This is one important clue for, or hint for our students. You have to justify all steps. Why? What are your research questions? She clearly stated these are so crucial. State your research questions, and then you need to add. She mentioned the research gap. She mentioned the research questions. These are really crucial. So you cannot say that I would like to study this. I mean, as a general topic, you can choose, but afterwards, you should definitely clearly indicate your research gap. You should clearly indicate your research questions, and then you should choose your methodology accordingly. Why you choose those methodologies? What is the justification? And even in the implementation, for example, e-waste, why e-waste? Why in Turkey? Why in emerging economies? Why cellular phones? These were the questions that I had rapidly asked Melisa to justify, and she did it successfully. And then how shall we forecast? Why should we choose this method, or both for, this is valid for gray prediction as well as for DEMATEL. And yeah, and for the output side, okay, we have some results, but what are the implications? What are the implications for policymakers? What are the implications for managers and society? These are also important issues. So when I see many students from our master degree who are at the stage of, as far as I know, Tilbe, Elif, Yamaç, Olcan, they're all at the stage of thesis. So I hope it will, and if you have any questions, of course, you can always ask me or Melisa. We're always available for that. And to our professors, Pervin Hoca and Gülmüş Hoca, I hope they enjoyed this seminar. So please, if you have any questions, you are more than welcome. This is all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and congratulations, Melisa. It was great work. And thank you very much for your nice and informative presentation.
Thank you. Dear Gülmüş Hocam, your voice is not coming.
Thank you very much again to Melisa and Yiğit Hocam for your hard-working thesis. I know that you work very hard for your thesis and also the other papers. Congratulations again. Maybe you can give some more information about your paper. What was the result of your paper? It would be better to give some more information, maybe, Melisa.
Okay, in our paper, we focused on the collection of e-waste in e-waste management in Turkey, and we state that the collection and management process of e-waste is not sufficient in Turkey. For example, only, as mentioned before, only 2% of e-waste can be collected in Turkey, and which is very small amount, which means that the other ones is going to garbage maybe. Therefore, we analyze the current e-waste collection management system in Turkey, and from to the beginning to the recycling centers, and we propose a new collection and classification center, which means we removed some insufficient parts of insufficient centers in the collection stage system, current collection stage system, and we propose a new and lean center to collect the e-waste is properly. And with this proposed model, we can state that the proposed model is more beneficial to collect e-waste and to transform the recycling processes appropriately.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Maybe we can share this. Let me share my screen. Can you see this?
Yes.
So, yeah, this is the paper. We have used some parts from her thesis, of course. Dr. Lloyd, yeah. So we have determined those two. What shall be then e-waste collection figures in the long run, like from her thesis, and then how shall the current state of e-waste collect? This is how we have extended. Research question 1 is from her thesis, 2 is from beginning to, let's say, to this paper. So research question 1 again, what shall be the anticipated e-waste collection figures in the long run within an emerging economic context? And research question 2, how shall the current state of e-waste collection system be improved by digitalization to enhance sustainability within emerging economic context? Okay. So these are some theoretical backgrounds, collection e-waste in emerging economies in Turkey, digital technologies in e-waste collection. Now we are shifting more to collection side, forecasting in e-waste collection, okay, methods used, reasons to use grade prediction, again, why we have used this. Literature summary of e-waste prediction, what people have used, and the methods. Yeah, again, grade prediction. This is the steps of grade prediction. Yeah, GM11 model, and then we just like in other forecasting analysis, we calculated the error term of our model to see this success of our method, whether if it works or not. And it was working quite good. The error rate was low. Implementation of the study, we have implemented. Okay. Predicted amounts. Okay, and here we have the error terms. Quite reasonable. I mean, when we look at those figures, especially towards the last 2 years, it was performing quite good here, moderately, but especially afterwards, it was quite good. Then we analyze the current state. This is the current state, current situation e-waste collection in Turkey. You know, even we added those street peddlers, till sellers, all the system. And then we shifted to a more lean way, proposed sustainable collection, because the current model does not consider sustainability nor lean measures. So we just move it to this proposed manner. And in addition to that, we have included some circular economic perspective to this too. Okay, And then we make this data-driven and TBL-based benefits of sustainable collection and classification centers. We have listed here those. Okay. And many implications, of course, we have added. Yeah, I made a very fast. Just these are the references. Yeah. Okay. So.
Thank you very much.
Okay. It's a pleasure. Thank you. Very good. Any questions, dear friends, dear students? You can use this method, especially forecasting tool, grade prediction in your studies, if it is appropriate for your research question, of course, not because. So it's not it's not possible to use every technique, even if we love them, even if we want to use them. It should be suitable to your research question. Check the status of your research problem. If it is suitable, then of course you can use, we can even help you on how to use this grade prediction model if you like. But once again, in situations where there is lack of data or when you do not trust the data that have been collected, or when there is lack of data or there's a chaos, complexity is so high that, you know, not because of any misbehavior, but due to the complex structure or the chaotic structure, you may need to use these techniques. Otherwise, you can go on with your standard forecasting tools, of course. Unfortunately, in Turkey, especially between the years that we have studied, 2015, 16, 17, 18, those ranges, unfortunately, in the last 2 years, things are getting a bit better in this aspect, but those years were the times that really, you know, you cannot find central collected trustable data. You know, those actions, those initiatives has just begun in just, you know, maybe 2 or 3 years. So this was one of the reasons. If it would be something else, like in food also, in food waste, unfortunately, still we have similar features. For example, you may wish to forecast waste of bread, which is very common phenomena in Turkey, but unfortunately this you can find formal statistical figures for, like, as far as I remember, like for 2009 there is one study, and then for a couple of years later another one, like in 2013. The time frame between those years are missing. So unfortunately, finding trustable data is a common problem in emerging economies, and when you do not have trustable, validated data, verified data, it is really difficult to decide and act. So this was an important problem that you may face within your research question. But as you see, even in those situations, we have some techniques to use. Even for those situations, we have some tools. Okay. So, Tilbe, Elif, Yamaç, any question? Olcan? No? Melisa, actually, we could put one more implication to say that use your cellular phones, mobile phones as long as possible. Yeah, isn't it?
Yes, that's right.
So, because this study also touches the circular economy a little bit, not a little bit, but, you know, up to a certain level, let's say. And, you know, we are dealing with, we have Pervin and Gülmüş Hoca Pervin Hoca, Gülümüş Hoca are from, working more on the consumer side, more on the marketing side. We are on the operations side, but whatever we do is actually struggling with the problem that are arising after the usage, after the consumption. So actually, the remedies, the precautions that could be taken within the consumption stage, within those stages are, in my opinion, are much more effective to deal with those problems, because those are the preventive measures, those are the preventive areas. Other than that, after it becomes a waste, we are coming to stage and trying to deal in the operations part. But I believe those sides are also very crucial, like consumer behavior side is quite important. So yeah, I just wanted to say that, because whatever you do, after it becomes waste, it already became a waste. All the remedies, collection centers, anything you do is just dealing with a patient. But the thing is that to prevent this illness, just to prevent, like in pandemic situations, similarly, we are doing studies like trying to dealing with the capacity management of the hospitals. That's nice. This is something we should do, but the other one is much more cheaper, isn't it? Just to prevent the pandemic. Yeah, it's much more important to stop with preventive actions. Okay. So it's not my seminar, it's Melisa's seminar, so I talk too much. Sorry for. Anything, Melisa? Anything else?
Not now, thank you. And I hope it will be beneficial. And as you mentioned, if you have any question, I can answer these questions, or after the seminar, I can send these papers or information about my thesis.
Thank you, Melisa, again, for your valuable presentation.
Thank you again, Melisa.
Thank you very much.
It was very good.
Thank you.
So how many minutes